Hey, this is Tim from the Marching Roundtable podcast answering another listener question. Jennifer asks, how long does it take to create each podcast that you release? Well, it actually takes us about 4 to 5 hours for each podcast we release. What happens is there's a lot of time beforehand in scheduling, emailing back and forth with the guest, finding the right time, getting everybody together on the right evening. Then before the podcast begins, I create a script. The scripts have gotten simpler as we've gotten better at what we're doing, but I also always have information about the questions we're going to ask, basic information about our guests, that kind of thing. The podcast recording, we all meet on Skype. It takes about an hour usually. And then when the podcast is over, it takes me about an hour to create the script for the intros that I read, create the editing information for the stop, the start, any edits, where the intros are in the recording, put all of that stuff on Dropbox. Then another time, usually the next morning, I will record the intros that go in there. I send all this information to our editor, and then it takes him about an hour to sit down with all the information, the different files, put that all together, and then send that back to Dropbox where it's ready to post. Then it takes about 20 to 30 minutes, I'm getting a little slow at this, getting those posted to WordPress and also to iTunes. So the whole process from beginning, first contacting a guest, to the recording, to editing, to getting it out in the world, takes about 4 to 5 hours per podcast. If there's a podcast that's divided into two, that takes longer, but then there's a second podcast that we get, so the time actually is shortened. Thanks for your question. Keep those questions coming. If you want to have a question for me, click on this link right here, and it'll take you right to the page on our website where you can send a question for me, Tim, at the Roundtable. Thanks for listening.